The incredible delivery girl revealed her amazing skills and inspiringly exposed 9 programmers. Sarah zipped through the vibrant streets of Chicago, her heart racing with the pulse of the city. The morning sun danced off the skyscrapers, illuminating her infectious smile. Each day was a battle, a hustle. Supporting her ailing mother and younger brother, Jake, was her mission. This wasn't just a job, it was her lifeline, her promise to them. With her packed backpack strapping her down, she was ready to conquer the world one delivery at a time. As she navigated the packed sidewalks, her adrenaline surged. Today would be different. Today, she was feeling unstoppable. But as she approached a trendy café, she caught snippets of a conversation that knocked the wind out of her sails. A group of programmers was laughing, joking about an app that would replace delivery workers like her, disrupting lives without a second thought. Anger bubbled in her chest. "Hey!" she called out, stepping closer to the group. "Do you even understand what you're doing? People depend on jobs like mine." The words burst from her like fireworks. This was no longer about just her, it was about every invisible worker hustling through these streets. With little recognition and less respect, they turned, surprise etched on their faces. Ignorance radiated from the programmers as they brushed off her concerns. But Sarah didn't back down. "You think it's just tech? It's people. It's families." Her heart raced, yet she stood tall as emotions surged through her. Could they really be so blind to the consequences? Before she knew it, a heated exchange ensued, and the crowd grew. It felt electric, and in that moment, she felt powerful. Yet, amidst the chaos, Jake appeared, his brow furrowed, feeling overshadowed. Sarah's heart sank. The last thing she wanted was for her brother to feel like a sidekick in her fight. The tension tightened like a rubber band ready to snap between them. "Sarah, you don't have to fight every battle. Can't you just do your job?" His voice was small, the disappointment in his eyes cutting deeper than any comment from the group. She made her choices to uplift their family, but was she losing him in the process? Guilt pressed against her. Did her boldness come at a price? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. With a deep breath, Sarah turned back to the programmers, a fire ignited within. It had shifted from a confrontation to a fight for justice, not just for her but for every overlooked worker. She rallied her fellow delivery workers, each voice a piece of a larger story. The city buzzed with hope and determination as she unveiled the systemic barriers threatening their livelihoods. Just as the programmer's facade began to crack, Sarah received an anonymous message questioning her motives. It exploded like a bomb in the small world she had crafted. Doubts surfaced, her integrity was challenged. Who was she really fighting for? This was no longer just about her fight, but about the lives she hoped to uplift, and as the stakes began to climb, Sarah realized her path forward was anything but clear. Would she mend the cracks emerging with Jake? Could she find a way to balance her ambitions while staying true to her family? The winds of change were on the horizon, and she stood dazed on the edge. What would her next move be? Would she hold on or let go? The answer teetered just out of reach, leaving her heart racing with anticipation. With the sun retreating behind the skyline, casting long shadows on the pavement, Sarah stood at the crossroads of her battle. Doubt gnawed at her. Who could possibly be sending such a message? Was it someone from the café? A programmer hoping to stifle her voice? As her mind raced, her phone buzzed again, this time revealing a name she never thought she'd see in her inbox. Marcus, one of the programmers from earlier. She hesitated, a tight knot twisting in her stomach. It felt like opening a door that should remain shut. With a shaky breath, she clicked on the message. I've been thinking about what you said. I'm not the enemy you think I am. Sarah's heart pounded in her chest. Was this a trick? She glanced at Jake. He looked uncomfortable, shifting from foot to foot as if the weight of the moment pressed down on him. "I don't have time for this," she muttered, but curiosity tugged at her. What if Marcus was willing to listen? "Wait," she said to Jake, holding up a hand as she replied, "What do you mean?" A moment later, his response came, quick and blunt. "I know it's scary for workers like you. We're working on an app that is supposed to solve delivery issues, but it's not just about money for us. We care about the community." Sarah felt skepticism rise. How can you care about the community if you don't even understand it? Yet, something held her back from dismissing him outright. Maybe there was a chance to change the narrative, to turn an adversary into an ally. "Meet me tomorrow. Let us talk," she typed, hardly believing she was doing this. Jake frowned. "You can't seriously be considering this? These are the same people who want to put you out of work." "Yeah, but if I don't try, what's the alternative? Just stand back and let them dictate our future?" His arms crossed, frustration evident on his face. "You don't owe them anything, Sarah. You're fighting for all of us." "Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, I can get through to one of them." She softened, thinking of her brother. "Look, what's worse? Letting them control the outcome or taking a chance to change it?" She saw the spark of understanding in Jake's eyes, though he remained uncertain. "Just promise me you'll keep your guard up." "I will. I promise." Her resolve deepened as she made her way home, weaving through the bustling streets, her mind alight with possibilities. If she could spark some understanding, maybe she could rally others to join her cause. A few hours of conversation might give her the insights she needed to expose deeper issues and find common ground. When she walked into her apartment, the smell of homemade soup filled the air. Her mother smiled weakly from the kitchen, and Jake went straight to help her. Momentarily, the weight of the world lifted from Sarah's shoulders. These were her grounding forces, the reason she pushed through each day. "Anything exciting happen today?" her mom asked, pulling Sarah into a warm embrace. "Oh, just the usual." Sarah forced a smile. The conversation she had earlier didn't seem fitting to share just yet. That was her battle to fight, not theirs. Later, as she lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, a conflict brewed inside. Was reaching out to Marcus the right move? With hearts and livelihoods at stake, she felt both excitement and fear. She could foster a bridge where there was division, or she could stumble. As sleep eluded her, she wondered what awaited her tomorrow. Would this meeting lead to understanding, or would her hopes shatter? The unknown loomed like a shadow, an enemy and potential ally intertwined in a single heartbeat. Sarah closed her eyes, a name echoing in her mind, Marcus. What would he reveal, and could it reshape everything? Morning light streamed through Sarah's window, warming her face and urging her to wake. Today was the day. She stared at the ceiling, pulling the blanket closer. The thought of her upcoming meeting felt equal parts exhilarating and terrifying. Inhaling deeply, she reminded herself that she needed clarity not just for herself, but for everyone who depended on her. She slipped out of bed, the chill of the floor sending a quick jolt through her. After a steaming shower, she looked in the mirror, straightening her posture as she practiced a confident smile. Uncertainty flickered behind her eyes. Will I be able to make them understand? By the time she arrived at the small coffee shop where she agreed to meet Marcus, the familiar sounds of ringing cups and bubbling espresso machines filled the air. The place bustled with the usual morning crowd, but Sarah felt as if all eyes were on her. She ordered a coffee, letting its warmth seep into her palms as she steeled herself for what was to come. Marcus arrived a few minutes later, looking as nervous as she felt. His casual clothes contrasted sharply with the formal atmosphere that hung around them. He flashed a hesitant smile as he approached, his hands stuffed in his pockets. "Sarah," he said, his voice steady yet unsure. "Thanks for meeting me." "Let us just get this over with," she replied, surprised by the edge in her tone. She didn't mean to sound harsh, but the stakes felt high, and she couldn't afford to blow this chance. He nodded. "I get that. But can we just talk? I want to show you who we are, why we're building what we're building." Sarah settled into her seat, leaning in slightly. "Fine. Just. No corporate talk. I want the truth. Marcus nodded again, leaning forward, his eyes earnest. We genuinely care about delivering more efficiently. But it's not just about the app. Look, I know some programmers just see numbers. But my team? We're from this community. We see the challenges, the struggles like yours. She raised an eyebrow, skepticism etched across her features. Really? Then why does it feel like you want to push us out? It's complicated, he admitted, running a hand through his hair. We're fighting against a system too. A system that sometimes dictates how we operate without understanding the human side. His words started to chip away at her defenses. For the first time, she saw a flicker of passion in his eyes. It reminded her of her own fire. But could this be genuine, or was it just another script? I don't want empty promises, she said, her voice steady. What's in it for you to help us? Why should I trust you? I can't promise you a miracle. But I promise to listen. I want us to find solutions together. We can collaborate, make sure that technology benefits everyone, not just those at the top. The words hung in the air, laden with the weight of hope and doubt. Okay, then, Sarah said, her heart racing. What do you suggest? They spent the next few hours discussing ideas, visions, and fears. With each word exchanged, the lines between them blurred, revealing shared passions for their families, their neighborhood, their futures. As they wrapped up, something shifted in Sarah, a spark of possibility. I still have my doubts, but this could work. Marcus smiled, relief washing over his features. Let us take it step by step. As she walked away from the café, a weight lifted from her shoulders, replaced with cautious optimism. But just as she thought she could breathe easier, her phone buzzed again. A message from Jake, simply reading, what did he say? In that moment, everything she had worked for felt fragile once more. Could she truly bridge this divide? With a deep breath, she replied, we have a chance. But even as she typed, a nagging feeling settled in her gut. What would Jake think if he knew about her growing trust in Marcus? As much as she wanted to believe, she couldn't ignore the uneasy feeling sneaking into her thoughts, because the truth was, trust was a two-edged sword. Would Sarah's hope pay off, or would it all fall apart at the seams? Sarah's phone felt heavier than usual as she tucked it back into her pocket. Each step back to her car felt like a small weight lifting from her chest, but with every ray of sun peeking through the trees, uncertainty lingered at the edges of her happiness. What had started as a potential partnership now felt like a tightrope walk. One misstep could send everything tumbling down. Sinking into her seat, she stared at the steering wheel. This wasn't just about her, it was about her community as well. She had visions of the store, a place that could thrive, a place that could provide for families. The hope brewing within was exciting, yet a flicker of doubt whispered, what if Marcus was just playing her? Her fingers brushed over the text from Jake. He needed her to believe, and she wanted to. But every bit of success she had worked for had come with sacrifice, and she couldn't shake the feeling that trusting Marcus would mean risking it all again. As she drove home, memories cascaded through her mind. Her father's pride as he opened the shop years ago, the late nights spent stocking shelves, the community dinners that turned strangers into friends. It was all at stake. Pulling into the parking lot, she spotted Jake standing outside their store, his brow furrowed as he scanned the curb. The symbol of their life together, their dreams hanging in the balance, flashed across her mind. No turning back now. Hey, she called out, stepping out of the car, summoning a smile. Jake's troubles showed in the way his shoulders slumped. Did you talk to him? Yes, and it was complicated, Sarah started, heartbeat quickening. Jake's expression darkened. Complicated how? Are we just going to let this company roll in and decide what happens next? Jake, listen. She sighed, gathering her thoughts. He actually understands. He might want to help us, but we need to play this smart. We can negotiate. Negotiate? You sound like you're already on his side. Jake snapped, frustration leaking through. He ran a hand through his hair, exhaling sharply. You can't trust them, Sarah. This could wipe us out. The unease in the pit of her stomach twisted tighter. 3 months ago, I didn't think we'd even get this opportunity. I'm not saying we should trust him completely, but there's potential here. Potential? He scoffed. I won't let them take away what we've built. Tension hung thick between them, and Sarah felt her heart pound against her ribcage. They were standing at a crossroads, 4 years of dreams and sweat against a chance to transform everything. She could see Jake's pain. It mirrored her own. Look, she said, lowering her voice to soften her stance, I know it's risky. But we can't fight change if we don't understand it. What if we wait and see? This could be a way to make the store thrive, to grow. Jake's jaw tightened, the dawn of understanding tempered by concern. And what if this is the moment we jeopardize everything? In that instant, unspoken fears hung in the air. Trust would determine their path, so would hope. They stood like two brave souls battling stormy seas, wary of the waves yet compelled to sail. Finally, Jake sighed, his expression softening but not quite yielding. I just want to protect what we have. Me too, she urged softly, reaching for his hand. But sometimes, we have to take risks to find a future. As their fingers intertwined, the soft warmth of connection ignited a spark. Let us find out what this collaboration truly means, Jake murmured. Sarah felt the tension ease a fraction, but as they stepped into the store, the storm clouds of doubt still loomed large above. And then her phone buzzed again, the screen lighting up with a message that made her heart drop. I need to meet. It's important. Marcus. What was he about to reveal? Was it another attempt at collaboration, or something else entirely? Sarah stared at her phone, her breath caught somewhere in the tangled web of her thoughts. The message loomed in front of her like a storm cloud ready to unleash its rain. Important. What could Marcus want that was so urgent? Her fingers trembled slightly as she considered the implications. Jake noticed her stillness, his expression shifting from concern to curiosity. What's going on? He asked, stepping closer. There was a protective edge in his tone. It's Marcus, she replied, her voice shaky. He wants to meet. Meet? About what? Jake's brow furrowed deeper. I don't know, but it sounds serious. Great, Jake muttered, crossing his arms. More of his games. Sarah could feel her heart racing again, a cocktail of hope and dread swirling inside her. What if he's got something better to offer? We can't just cut ourselves off without giving him a chance. And what if he's just playing us? Jake pressed. Sarah, we need to be smart about this. The weight of their situation pressed against her chest. She wanted to reason with him, to soothe his worries, but uncertainty danced around the edges of her mind. They had fought hard to build what they had, a life woven from love, sweat, and countless hours of hard work. Did they really want to gamble that on a stranger's word? Can we at least hear him out? Sarah suggested gently. We owe it to ourselves to know what he's really offering. Together, maybe we can sift through the noise. Jake hesitated, the flicker of doubt still present. Fine. But if it feels wrong at any point we'll walk away, she assured him, her heart firming up against the uncertainty. I promise. As the sun dipped lower in the sky, shadows began crafting shapes against the storefront. They locked eyes for a moment, a silent understanding passing between them, a fragile bridge built from trust and shared dreams. With a decision finally made, Sarah replied to Marcus, agreeing to the meeting. She felt a strange sense of anticipation mix with her anxiety. There would be answers soon, but would they like what they found? When the meeting time arrived, the atmosphere crackled with tension. Sarah and Jake waited at a small café down the street from the store. Moments slid by like sand through an hourglass. Every passing second felt elongated, stretching their nerves thin. Jake stared out the window, tapping his fingers against the table. What do you think he wants? I'm not sure, Sarah admitted, her palms dampening against her jeans. But I have to believe it's for a good reason. Or maybe it's a distraction, he countered, his voice low. There was an edge of frustration still lingering, like the storm clouds that hadn't yet cleared. Before she could respond, the door swung open and in stepped Marcus. He held a file folder close to his chest, his demeanor more serious than before. Sarah felt her pulse quicken, and she fought to keep her expression neutral as he approached their table. "Thanks for meeting me," Marcus said, his tone grave. "I know this is short notice, but I need to discuss something regarding the future of your store." Before they could even reply, he dropped the file on the table and opened it wide, revealing charts, projections, and what appeared to be their competitors' recent moves. "They're planning something big," Marcus said urgently, pointing to a graph. "But you can stay ahead if we act now." The fire of concern ignited in her chest as she leaned forward, eyes darting over the documents. "What do you mean?" As Marcus began to explain, Sarah could almost feel the future of the store shifting beneath her feet. What it meant for their lives, her community, and their dreams hung in the air, tangled with the whispers of fate. Each word was a step along a narrow bridge, and she didn't know where it would lead. What was Marcus really offering? Would it save them or seal their doom? Sarah's mind raced as Marcus detailed the competitive strategies their rivals were plotting. He spoke with urgency, but the words echoed in her ears like a distant warning. She noticed Jake's jaw tightening, his arms crossing more defensively as the conversation deepened. "But we need to know what we're getting into," he interjected, his voice sharp. "This could change everything." "I understand," Marcus replied, his eyes darting between them, gauging their reactions. "But the market is shifting, and if you don't adapt, the story or hard work, it could all be lost." Sarah felt the walls close in on her as more charts tumbled out of Marcus's folder. Each statistic, each projection, felt like a ticking clock, reminding her how fragile their momentum was. She saw hope in the swirling numbers and maps, but it was a hope buried under layers of fear. "What exactly do you propose?" Jake asked, his tone skeptical. Marcus leaned in closer, his voice lowering, almost conspiratorial. "We implement a strategy that not only neutralizes their moves but allows you to reclaim the market. I can help. But it requires investment time, resources, and a leap of faith." "Investment?" Jake echoed incredulously. "That's easy for you to say when we're the ones risking everything." "Listen, Jake," Sarah said firmly, her heart pounding in her chest. "We've come too far to back down now." "If he believes this could make a difference, I'm not saying we shouldn't listen," Jake countered, frustration simmering under the surface. "I'm just worried that this big plan might just be another way to drain us." "Who is he, really?" Abruptly, Marcus pulled out a personal reference list, showcasing successful projects he had handled in the past, glowing testimonials from past partners peppered across the pages. "Do you really think you're the only small store that faced challenges?" Marcus challenged, leaning back in his seat, crossing his arms. "Every successful business you look up to started on dirt roads just like yours. Someone took a chance." Sarah shook her head, yearning to scream at the uncertainty swirling inside her. "But what if it's a badly timed chance? What if we gamble on something that's out of our control?" Marcus caught her eye, his gaze unwavering. "It's all a gamble, Sarah. Staying stagnant is a gamble too. This is about survival." As silence hung heavily over their small table, Sarah's eyes locked with Jake's. Within the depths of that gaze, she sensed a brewing storm of emotions, love, doubt, and an unyielding determination. Could they really put their future in the hands of a stranger based on numbers and promises? "I need time to think," Jake finally said, his tone softening, vulnerability slipping through the cracks of his bravado. "Understandable," Marcus replied, nodding. "But time isn't on your side." As he packed up his papers, a complex tangle of dread and hope coiled around Sarah's heart. Would the very future they were trying to build slip through their fingers? When Marcus left, the air felt thicker with unresolved tension. Would they have the strength to grasp at dreams that felt too far away? Sarah turned to Jake, her voice barely above a whisper. "What do we do now?" He looked down, seeming to weigh an invisible scale of options. Suddenly, a thought struck her. What if this wasn't just about Marcus or competition? Was this decision going to redefine their lives, or would it shatter everything they had built? In that moment, as the fork in the road loomed larger, Sarah knew they were staring down the barrel of a life-changing decision. "Let us think it over tonight," Jake suggested, his expression serious but open, the bond between them still intact. Tomorrow, they would either fight for the store they loved or step back into the shadows, leaving everything to chance. What lay ahead captured Sarah's mind, twisting her heart into a reluctant knot. But what if they discovered something beyond Marcus's plan? Something that could reshape their entire journey? The evening settled into an uneasy silence as Sarah and Jake sat in their small living room. Shadows danced across the walls, echoing the turmoil inside their minds. Sarah stared at the flickering candle on the table, its flame reflecting the tumult of her heart. She felt more lost than ever, tangled in her own thoughts. "Jake," she began, struggling to find the right words. "What if tomorrow is it? What if we let fear hold us back from something that could change everything?" He looked up, his eyes clouded with uncertainty. "It's just, there is so much at stake. What if Marcus is wrong? What if we put everything into this and it backfires?" "We've already put everything into this store," Sarah replied, her voice firm. "It's our dream. We can't let someone else decide our fate." A silence followed, thick and heavy. They both glanced around, taking in the walls adorned with memories, pictures from their grand opening, handwritten notes from loyal customers, reminders of why they started this journey together. But now, those memories felt like weights pulling them down. "Maybe we should talk to some of his past clients," Jake suggested, a flicker of light in his tone. "Get a feel for what we might be signing up for." "That's a good idea," Sarah responded, a smile creeping onto her face. Hope, however precarious, began to stitch itself back into the fabric of her heart. "If we go in with our eyes open, if this is a leap, we need a safety net." Jake's brow furrowed slightly. There was fear there, but also an inkling of belief, a willingness to explore. Their conversation shifted towards strategy, imagining what a partnership with Marcus could look like, brainstorming ideas on rebranding, and connecting with their community in fresh ways. Each idea sparked a new vision, pulling them back from the edge of despair. As midnight approached, Sarah felt fatigue wrapping around her. She needed rest but found her mind racing with possibilities. Could they be brave enough to make the right calls tomorrow? Would they uncover a solution that could not only protect their store but also ignite a new passion for what they did? "Let us just sleep on it," Jake finally said, his voice softer, laced with a hint of reassurance. "We can go over our options and see if our instincts line up in the morning." They both climbed into bed, but sleep evaded Sarah. Restlessly, she stared at the ceiling, her thoughts darting around like fireflies in the night. Questions buzzed. Could they trust Marcus? What if this was their shot at something major? But then again, what if it shattered their hopes instead? In the quiet, she recognized that their path needed to be forged with intention. They weren't just moving forward, they needed clarity. As her eyes fluttered, she felt a twinge of resolve. If they were going to make a leap, it had to be with their eyes wide open. Morning light streamed through the window, casting brightness over the uncertainty of the past night. As she stretched and yawned, hope slowly replaced the worry in her heart. They would face the day together, whatever it would bring. "Jake," she called as she entered the kitchen, ready to discuss their game plan. He appeared, a cup of coffee in hand, and a determined smile on his face. "Today's the day we decide," he nodded. "No more being blinded by fear." "But what if we discover something even more incredible than we imagined?" Sarah said, her pulse quickening at the thought. Jake raised an eyebrow, intrigued. "Like what?" She paused, warmth blooming in her chest. "What if we connect with others who have taken a leap like Marcus is suggesting? And what if, just what if, we find a way to put our own twist on it?" The possibilities fluttered between them, invigorating and daunting. They were on the precipice of a new adventure, an uncharted territory that could lead them back to the heart of their dream. As they prepared to leave the house, a mix of excitement and anxiety danced in the air. Would they step into the unknown or retreat into safety? The door swung open, and with every step they took toward their store, Sarah felt her heart race with the sheer thrill of potential. Tomorrow would unveil the truth, but today, they were ready to fight for what they believed in. And as they walked, a voice echoed in Sarah's mind, a whisper of possibility emerging from her uncertainty. What secrets might they uncover that could turn the tide for their future? The sun hung low in the sky as Sarah and Jake approached their store. The familiar sight of the storefront felt both comforting and intimidating, a reminder of the dreams they had built together. Sarah inhaled deeply, the scent of freshly brewed coffee wafting from the café next door filling her with a sense of purpose. Jake held the door open for her, and as they stepped inside, the cool air of the shop enveloped them. Shelves lined with knickknacks and local art painted a picture of home, but today, everything felt different. Sarah's heart raced as they moved toward the back office. Today would be transformational, today, they would reclaim their narrative. "Let us make a list," Jake suggested, pulling out a notepad. "What questions do we need to ask Marcus?" Sarah nodded, her fingers tingling with anticipation. "What's his vision for us? How does he see our brand evolving? And what happens if it doesn't work out?" Jake added, the gravity of their upcoming decision settling in his voice. As they jotted down their thoughts, Sarah's mind drifted. She recalled the countless late nights they spent dreaming about the store and what it could become. Every struggle they faced, every setback, it all tied into their passion. But was Marcus the key to unlocking that potential, or would he just throw them into the deep end? Just then, a knock interrupted her thoughts. The sound abruptly pulled her back to the moment. Jake exchanged a nervous glance with her before walking over to the door and swinging it open. The delivery girl stood there, her ponytail bouncing with urgency, a stack of boxes balancing on her arms. "Delivery for the store. Looks like your new spring collection is here." Sarah felt a mix of gratitude and excitement. She hadn't forgotten about the new items they ordered, hoping it would breathe fresh life into their offerings. "Perfect timing," she exclaimed, rushing over to help carry the boxes inside. As they tore open the packaging, a rush of color and creativity spilled out before them. Each item was vibrant, full of life. It was more than just merchandise, it was a promise of renewed energy. Sarah's heart swelled as she imagined how these pieces could connect with their customers, how they could reignite that spark that reminded them why they loved this work. "Look at this." Jake lifted a hand-painted vase, its colors bright and inviting. "This could be a centerpiece for the window display." "Absolutely, and this sculpture?" Sarah pointed to a whimsical piece that seemed to dance with joy. "It captures the spirit of our store." As they filled the space with laughter, energy, and warmth, the weight of fear began to lift. Maybe just the act of taking chances could brighten their outlook, even if Marcus was a part of that journey. But before they could lose themselves in the moment, the delivery girl cleared her throat, drawing their attention. "I couldn't help but overhear. You guys seem super passionate about what you do." "Thanks." "We are," Sarah replied, a flutter of curiosity blossoming inside her. "Are you looking to do something big? Like a launch event or something?" the girl asked, her eyes sparkling. "Actually, we're in talks about partnering with someone for our business," Jake explained, glancing at Sarah for reassurance. "I know someone who just went through something similar. It's been an incredible journey for them," she said, her enthusiasm palpable. She paused, then added, "If you want, I can connect you with them. They might have some insights that could really help." An unexpected surge of hope coursed through Sarah. This could be the connection they needed, another chance to learn and possibly grow. "Please, yes." Sarah nodded eagerly. "That would be amazing." After the delivery girl left, Sarah and Jake exchanged excited glances. Could this actually lead them toward something incredible? And what if, by following these trail of serendipitous moments, they could structure their adventure in a new way altogether? As Sarah set to arranging the new stock, each piece ignited fresh ideas in her mind. She felt driven, filled with purpose. They were on a path that could lead to rediscovering their hearts and their community, but as they immersed themselves in the creative frenzy, a small voice whispered in Sarah's mind a reminder of uncertainty. What if the connections they pursued only led to more questions? The day hadn't yet revealed all its surprises, and neither had their journey. Those tiny, flickering moments of hope were waiting to be explored. And as they worked, Sarah couldn't help but wonder, was this the first step toward the transformation they deeply craved, or just another detour? The afternoon sun was dipping lower, casting golden light across the shop as Sarah and Jake busied themselves with the new collection. The excitement in the air was palpable, but beneath it lay an undercurrent of anxiety. Christine, the delivery girl, had opened a door, and they stood on the brink of something new, yet still uncertain about what lay beyond. "Hey, you want to put together a brief list for her contact? Just some questions we might have?" Jake suggested as he assembled the display. "Definitely. Let us make it count," Sarah replied, invigorated. They quickly jotted down possible questions, each one fueling their hopes. What incredible insights could await them? As they worked, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that this could turn into something bigger than they ever imagined. A fresh connection, a mentor, anyone who might guide them through uncharted territory. Turning a small store into something exceptional wasn't going to happen by itself. Just then, the door swung open again. In walked Marcus, their potential partner, all too aware of the weight he carried with him. The silence felt electric, and Sarah's heart raced. This was the moment that could change everything. "Hey, you two," he called out, flashing a confident smile. "I thought I'd stop by. I can't wait to see what you've done with the place. Come in." "Just putting together the new collection," Jake gestured. Sarah could see the excitement in Jake's eyes that mirrored her own. Yet, she also noticed a flicker of apprehension. As they chatted about the new pieces, Marcus's gaze landed on the display. "Wow! This really brings the space to life," he exclaimed, his voice warm. "You guys are onto something special here." Sarah felt a rush of pride. "Thanks. We want every piece to tell a story, to resonate with our customers." "I can see that. It's a strong reflection of who you are," he nodded appreciatively before his expression softened. "We need to talk more about our collaboration." "Absolutely," Jake said, tension easing a bit but still lingering. Sarah knew this meeting could pivot the direction of their store, and she felt a mix of hope and fear rushing through her veins. "Actually, I heard about the girl who made that incredible delivery," Marcus continued, his eyes lighting up. "She used to run a small shop herself before transitioning into logistics. She's got insights and experience on building a customer base." "Seriously?" Sarah interjected, hardly believing her luck. "Do you think she'd be willing to share her story?" Marcus nodded, a smile creeping onto his face. "I think she'd love to, especially if it helps young entrepreneurs." Just then, the phone rang, slicing through the conversation. "Excuse me, I need to grab this," Sarah said as she stepped into the back, the mix of excitement and nervousness building inside her. Breathless, she picked up the phone. "Hello?" A voice on the other end introduced themselves as Christine's mentor, describing how Christine had helped them revive their own struggling business. The conversation flowed, and Sarah found herself jotting down ideas just as quick as her thoughts raced. But somewhere in the back of her mind, she wondered if they were ready for all of this. What if the advice she received unveiled unforeseen challenges? When she rejoined Jake and Marcus, pressure filled the space, and a distinct air of anticipation lingered. They exchanged looks, knowing this was no longer just about their business, it was a leap into the unknown. As they closed the meeting, Sarah felt the weight of the decision settle heavily on her heart. "This is only the beginning, isn't it?" Sarah murmured, reflective. Jake squeezed her shoulder. "Yeah. Just remember, it's our journey, every twist and turn." Outside, the sun dipped below the horizon. Shadows crept in, and just like that, Sarah was reminded of the journey ahead. Hands shaking slightly, Sarah turned to Jake, her heart racing again. "What if we have to face challenges we never expected?" Jake paused, looking around the shop, then met her gaze with unwavering determination. "Then we face them together." And with that vow, they walked back into the world of possibilities. But as they turned to lock up for the evening, a flicker of doubt crept in. Were they truly ready for what was to come? The phone buzzed again, another message arriving just as the last rays of sunlight dimmed, leaving Sarah's heart beating faster. What would they discover next? The air crackled with anticipation as Sarah and Jake sat across the small cafe table from Marcus, the weight of their future resting heavily in the space between them. Sarah could feel her heart beat louder than the soft hum of chatter around them. This meeting could change everything. "Thank you for coming today," Marcus began, his voice calm yet serious. The research I've done on your store and the trends in our industry has led me to believe that we have a real opportunity in front of us. He opened his folder, revealing a series of charts and projections, but Sarah's mind was racing. Could this finally be their breakthrough? As the conversation unfolded, Marcus detailed the competitors' aggressive strategies, illuminating the challenges that lay ahead. But beneath all the numbers was a promise, a chance for them to not only survive, but to flourish. If we work together, we can build a strategy that helps your store not just catch up, but lead the community. Sarah felt a thrill. Could this truly be the lifeboat they needed? But Jake's furrowed brow indicated his skepticism. But how do we know we can trust you? He interjected. This sounds too good to be true. The best truth lies in depth, Marcus replied, meeting Jake's gaze. Some partnerships can feel risky at first, but they often lead to growth you can't achieve alone. Sarah considered Marcus's words, the fires of hope igniting in her and churning the shadow of doubt. So what's the first step? She asked, her heart racing with possibility. Marcus leaned in, determination lighting his eyes. We brainstorm together. Formulate a launch that grips your community and reminds them of the heartbeat behind this store. You mean, focus on our brand storytelling? Jake asked, a hint of intrigue breaking into his doubts. Exactly. We need to remind people why they loved your store in the first place. We can infuse your new collection with these stories and connect them with their memories. The energy in the room shifted, igniting inspiration. As the conversation flowed, they began to sketch out not just the how, but the why. It's about heart, Sarah emphasized, her enthusiasm buoyed by a shared vision. This store isn't just about our products, it's about our community. Right. Marcus nodded, his enthusiasm matching hers. Let us develop a plan that resonates with them, ignites their curiosity, and invites them back home. Jake, once apprehensive, leaned forward to his passion waking alongside theirs. When they wrapped up their meeting, Marcus's smile radiated with optimism. You two are onto something incredible. Let us get started and make this happen. Walking back to the store, Sarah and Jake felt a renewed sense of purpose wrapping around them like a protective blanket. The evening sun painted their path with golden light, a symbolic farewell to their old worries and an embrace of new beginnings. But as soon as they reached the store, the familiar weight of responsibility settled back in. Are we really ready for this? Jake asked, his voice quieter now. What if we can't keep up? Then we adapt, Sarah replied, strength filling her voice. We're already hustling. This is just a different kind of hustle. She placed her hand on his shoulder. We've come this far, we can't turn back now. Our community is waiting for us. As they prepared the store for the upcoming changes, a sense of excitement thrummed through the air. They brainstormed, made plans, and reveled in the shared dream that was finally beginning to take shape. And then, in a moment of serendipity, Christine, the delivery girl who had believed in them, stopped by with the mentor's contact. I have someone who wants to meet you, she said, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. They've been where you are and are looking to lend a hand. As Christine introduced them, Sarah felt like the world was opening up. Comments of admiration fluttered in the air as others shared their stories of transformation, fueling their determination. By the end of the night, the shop was not just stocked, it was alive with hope. When Sarah and Jake stood at the door, watching the sunset, they felt lighter. Tomorrow, Jake said softly, we dive in. Together, Sarah affirmed, squeezing his hand, a surge of love and conviction blooming between them. They faced challenges before. Each setback had honed them into resilient warriors ready to fight not only for their store but for their family's legacy. As they locked the door for the night, Sarah turned to face Jake. This is only the beginning, isn't it? He smiled, a glint of determination sparking in his eyes. Yes, it is. We'll make sure our story continues, no matter how many twists and turns lie ahead. With hearts full of hope and strength and unity, they stepped into their future together, ready to embrace the unknown. And the world outside whispered tales of adventure waiting to be lived. This was their moment. So, dear friends, what will you do with your moments? Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about the ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of backing the channel through these actions.